Good teams win. Great teams cover. It may not have looked beautiful, but Baylor basketball gets another win in Big 12 play. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thursday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Baylor. Drake Toll from Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears alongside Brandon McKinnon from our Daily Bears. Bears win. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. Brandon, this whole, is Baylor basketball elite conversation we've been having. I don't think last night proves that they are or they aren't, but it gives you another, you covered in Big 12 play.
You cover in Big 12 play, which is all that matters. You opened by saying good teams win, great teams cover. And Baylor covered, albeit at the final moments for those of us that had Baylor 9.5. Me. That was a little bit of a sweat. But, you saw a lot of great things. The second half was a little bit rocky. A lot of that probably due to Cryer coming out, rotation, shuffle. But, Oklahoma always plays us tight. They bounced us from the Big 12 tournament last year. It was a nail biter in Norman this year. I'm glad that they're no longer on our schedule, and we got the win. The train just keeps on rolling into a big weekend of basketball. What do you think, Drake?
No. You told me off the air before this show that this did not go how you expected, and I was waiting for you to rip into this team and talk about Caleb Lohner and Flo Thamba, which we seem to do every episode now.
Yes.
I was waiting for a tangent. Brandon, give me your unabridged thoughts.
Well, then you reminded me that great teams cover and that I owe Jalen Bridges half of my winning. So I'm probably going to be entering his DMs, looking for his Venmo handle within the rights of NIL to thank him for those 2 free throws.
NIL, yes, you can make it.
Yes. I'm kidding for whoever, listens to this pod, for everyone who listens to this pod. So I left the game, left watching the game from my living room to my office to pod with you, thinking that was very underwhelming. And I hate to be that guy. Yes, Drake, go ahead.
Oh, hey, Brendan, me. Drake Toll, Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears. I was at the game and left at halftime. Back to you.
Wow, so you were just as underwhelmed as I was.
Oh, 100%. I was bored. I was falling asleep. Dude,
so I'm sorry I missed your hand up. That's on me. This is why you got to watch on YouTube, because it's always a train wreck with us. You had a guy from ESPN yesterday, Pete, who's a great dude, and then I follow this. But I was underwhelmed because it just felt like we were flat. It's hard to say you're flat when you scored 82 points. I get that. I understand the irony. Maybe I'm being too tough on the team. Maybe I'm being too negative, and I should enjoy a good thing. But it was a bit of a letdown after you beat the brakes off Tech. I know Tech is not as good as OU, but the record doesn't say they're that far apart, And so I was underwhelmed. There were a lot of forced shot, a lot of missed jumpers. The defense wasn't great. OU just destroyed us in the paint. I was ready to hear this little creak. That's me opening the drawer my panic button is. I was ready to push that in the first half. I was concerned.
Yeah, the defense wasn't good. That's kind of why I left. I was like, oh, nobody's here. The crowd was bad. Mm-hmm. Which, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Everybody's got stuff to do. I get it. Baylor's not Duke. Baylor's not Kansas. Never will be. Okay. So I fed into it, and I left because I said, this defense isn't good. The crowd's not here. The atmosphere stinks. Yeah. And I kept, every time I'm broken. I'm a broken Baylor basketball fan. Because every possession on offense that I watch, I think, get it to Flo. Throw him the ball. And then when Caleb Lohner gets on the floor, I have to hit him. I just want to see something good happen so I can go on the pod and be like, he's redeemed himself. And Flo had that dunk.
When they did try and throw Flo the ball, it ricocheted off his chest and was a turnover, which was not an ideal play.
That's happened a couple times in my life. I've seen that a few times. So, again, he had the dunk. Very cool Flo. Very cool. The rest of the whole game, less of the cool Flo.
And the efficient free throw shooting. Let's play that game.
He is very good at free throw shooting now. I don't know what happened.
Other parts, yes.
I don't know what happened. Something clicked. Sent him to the line. But if Brandon were going to circle one thing, you go, oh, that was bad. That was kind of crappy. The defense. They'll have 35 points in the first half, 37 in the second half. Oklahoma shot 49% from the field in this game.
They were over 50 until the final 2.5 minutes when they went cold. And then, I mean, it was, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you hear 49, you're like, no, but it was another team over 50% against a defense that's supposed to be highly touted. It was frustrating.
So you won. I mean, you won. And look, I want to be the good cop here. You can be the bad cop because I usually fit that role.
Yeah.
But the defense wasn't very good. You'd force enough turnovers to win. 6 in the second half was pretty big. 14 overall, and you only turned the ball over 7 times yourselves. But the shooting, you didn't put a ton of pressure on Oklahoma's shooters, and had OU not shot 50% from the free throw line, they've got a legitimate chance to win this game. Baylor covered because of late game free throws. OU gets sporadic in the last 2 minutes. If OU makes 2 or 3 more free throws, then this game should have been closer than 10 points for sure.
Yeah. Well, the way they played it should have, but with the talent on both rosters, it should not have been. When you are at home, you look at the rosters up and down. This game should not be a 10-point sweat. Like, it really shouldn't. Yeah. And frankly, I mean, you talk about the free throws and all those things, but if it hadn't been for Adam Flagler hitting absurd mid-range jumpers, which is the lowest percentage shot in basketball typically, unless your name is Adam Flagler, the game goes completely different. And I mean, I know that that's defensively what OU was doing. They were hedging screens really hard, and Flagler took the space, which typically was right between the key and the 3-point line. So that's the shot he had. But those are 50-50 shots. We're lucky Flagler hit 75% of those mid-range shots today, because the game would have been very different. And I mean, the turnover part is encouraging, because if you remember earlier this season, we were turning the ball over all the time. We were giving it away, and we talked about that. So if you're going to pull a positive, that's one. We covered, we won, but there's just so much that I wish was tighter at this point in the year, that doesn't have me super optimistic. And I'm normally the good guy when I do this pod. I'm normally the good guy, and
true.
I was upset today.
Well, and we will get into even the future of the Big 12, the outlook in the next few games for the Bears. I do, before I go into my little ad read, the only one that I have here, Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. That's what it is. People,
how you say his name?
You're not crazy. He said his freshman year, Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. I remember it. I was there, and everybody, Fran Fraschilla, we all took it and ran. Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. That's how we've been saying it. No. The book, the actual pronunciation guide, is different from the audio that John gave them, where he says Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. So you're screaming at the announcers, as I have been doing the same thing. They're saying it correctly,
dude. So it's funny you bring that up. My wife was watching the first half with me, and
that's very.
It was a good time, and she made mention. This is when you know it's bad. She is a great Baylor fan when it's big games, playoffs, bowl games. She's in.
Yeah.
Regular season, she loves going. Casual TV watcher. She says they're saying Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua wrong. And until I saw your tweet and went online where Matt Roberts, the Associate AD Communications, there's that little ear logo on the team roster. You can hear them say it, which is what you're referring to. And it is, in fact, Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua, or Everyday John. We need to put an Ixnay in the JTT abbreviation. He's not a fan of that.
And maybe you hate it. Maybe you hate that his name is said this way. And we've been doing it for 3 years and no one said anything. But we have to retrain ourselves because it is Jonathan Tchamwa Tchatchoua. That is his name. So that is what we will say. With chagrin, sure, but that's how we'll say it. We'll also say, Brandon, that there are some cool, good individual performances for Baylor in this game that I think deserve mention. But first, I want to almost more importantly say that FanDuel is the #1 sportsbook in America. There's nothing better than FanDuel. If you like things that are number one, like Purdue men's basketball, you like FanDuel. FanDuel, if you're not a sports bettor, that's okay. It's still the #1 sportsbook, with or without you. And if you go there right now, you can look at lines. You can look at things like that, like Super Bowl 57 is coming up. We're like one episode away from not having any more episodes post Super Bowl. Like football season is about to end. Super Bowl 57, you to no sweat first bet. I'm going to do it. Find a way. If it's legal in Texas, I don't know. 57 Super Bowl, no sweat first bet. I put $3,000. And if I lose the bet, I get bonus bets. back, right? So I get $3,000 of free play back if my first $3,000 bet doesn't hit. So FanDuel lets you bet on everything from money line to point spreads, who will score a touchdown, all that jazz. FanDuel Sportsbook is safe, secure, super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet. It's super easy. It's FanDuel. It's the official betting partner of the NFL. If you want to go make money, passive income here, go to Shot Quality, look at their college basketball stuff, go utilize it at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon.
FanDuel is where I covered today, so I agree.
Yes, 9.5. Baylor did it.
Also a big Shot Quality fan. Great follow on Twitter and great website for anybody, any stat heads out there.
Love Shot Quality. It is surpassed to me Haslametrics, which I used for a long time. It surpassed Evan. What's the one? What's the
Evan
Ken
Maya.
Palm?
Oh,
yeah. Evans is still good. He's a Baylor guy, so I won't rat on Evan. They're even. Evans and Shot Quality. Brandon, things that are above even. Baylor's offense, 82 points.
Speaking of Shot Quality.
The 3 points were bad, which they weren't bad against Texas Tech. Your most complete game of the year. Today they were bad. 9 for 28. Not great. That is under 33%. Under a third of your shots go in from deep. But you only turn the ball over 7 times. Keontae George, who again, he is kind of the definition right now of volume shooting. He shoots the ball a lot, but 8 for 18 is good. 23 points. Flagler goes 6 for 15. Not good. 20 points. And Langston Love. It's either Jalen Bridges or Langston Love has stepped up and been one of those guys. And look, one can exist without the other and Baylor be really, really good. It seems like those two guys are like all right, if this kid gets 15, it's wraps.
Yeah. Yeah. And Langston, it's so interesting to like think about the evolution of where he's come just within this season. Right. So, you essentially can think of him as an additional top 25 recruit that we brought in this year because he didn't play his freshman year with the knee. And so to see him really coming into his own, getting comfortable. He even has said it himself in a presser that until the brace came off, he didn't feel 100% confident in his knee. And we saw this kind of resurgence of him. And then in Texas, it's like, oh my gosh, Langston's out, thigh contusion, whatever. And it was so apparent how important he is. Yeah. So apparent. And then today, he was super efficient. Like, you want to talk about the opposite of a volume shooter. Langston, everything was going in. He was physical. My favorite play he had was when he got to the hole for the and one, and the guy was just not big enough to guard him. Langston is a legitimate 6'5" with like close to a 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. It's a great piece to have. And quite frankly, when LJ went down, Langston just kind of said it's time. Like, it's time to cook, and I'm about to cook.
Yeah, Langston finishes 7 for 9 for 19 points. Awesome. That's awesome. I'm happy with the way that he played. Confused a bit. This is like, there's no segue. It's kind of unrelated. Confused a bit. No Josh Ojenwuna. Josh O did not, like, Chamo Chach was going to get those minutes now, of course. Yeah. But I guess you'll never see Thamba, Chamo Chachua, and Josh Ojenwuna. Those 3 guys will never intersect paths on the basketball court. I think we learned that last night.
I think so too. And I found myself thinking about that actually, like halfway through the second half when the lineup on the court was Loner, Chamo Chachua, and it was Langston, Flagler, and Dale. And I was like, this is such an interesting lineup. I would be willing to bet billions of dollars that these guys have never played together before, except maybe in practice, which is probably true because EJ just came back. But I was thinking, like, why isn't, what would Josh O look like in Caleb's spot here? Like you've said, Caleb, I've interviewed him. He's an awesome dude. I love, like, really genuinely, like, have, like, loved getting to know him in that, time. But it's like, what would Josh O give us? And then I kind of realized that Caleb is still a little bit more of a versatile defender on the perimeter. And just, I think that it's almost too much size in a way. Like, you can't have EJ and Josh kind of roaming the paint on the floor together. And so I think Caleb just gives you enough versatility around the perimeter that Josh O probably isn't going to see those minutes unless something drastic changes at practice.
Yeah. Look, name me a college basketball team that has 2 true post players on the floor at the same time in the Big 12, at least. The Big 10's, it's different. They're different across every conference, the Big East too. But Baylor's guard-oriented. They want to stay small. You're not built for Chuma Chichua to be down low and Josh O to be at the high post. It's just not. It's never going to happen for this team. I liken it to my intramural team. My intramural team, we have 3 post guys, myself included, that are all around-ish the same level. There's one that's probably stands out, not me. And if we'd love to start all 3 of us at the same time. It's maybe your best starting 5, but you can't. You can't start. Not everybody can be a post. So does that mean that we see Josh Ojenwuna again outside of garbage time? I don't think we will, unless there's an injury. Like you saw tonight last night that I don't want to say his season's done, but with the return of Everyday John, where is Josh going to fit?
It's like a foul trouble depth play, like truthfully, I feel like it is. And I didn't get to watch a Texas Tech game. I was in Orlando at Disney World with my wife and her siblings.
Oh, wow.
And so I tried to stream it from Magic Kingdom and that just didn't happen. So I'm not even sure if Josh played against Tech. Did he?
He did, but I remember.
Didn't probably. Well, John's minutes skyrocketed. Yeah, last night.
John went from 14 to 21.
Yeah. So, I think that's it. I mean, there's just not enough minutes to go around, and the style of play that we put on the court offensively and defensively, like the switch everything mentality, gets really difficult with 3 dudes out there too. So it's just tough. And I mean, I think that we'll look back on it and like we obviously want John back. He's in the position a lot more often than Josh was. Josh was a freshman. It is what it is. Yeah. But I think that him playing the first half of the season and getting a taste of Big 12 is going to be massive next year when Flo is no longer on this team.
Yeah. Oh, look at now. Which we won't get too deep into it. But Langston Love, Josh O, Everyday John.
Save this for the summer when we need to
recruits
talk about this.
That are coming in. That team's going to
Dan
be insane.
Yes.
I'm sure we can find some extra eligibility for either Flagler or Cryer because that exists across college basketball now. Loner, Bridges. I think, does Bridges have a year left?
He does, yeah.
Oh, dude, this could be bad for everybody else.
There are a lot of talks about him going to the draft, though.
No. He should wait.
I'm just telling you what
you're close to them. Tell him to wait. He should wait. He needs to come back for us. We do that. Brandon. Okay, look, let's go into the real stuff, the hard hitting stuff. Big 12 conference. Current standings after tonight. Baylor has pulled itself within a game of the Big 12 title. I was going to bring this up in the podcast of Pete Sousa, and I didn't. But looking at Baylor's schedule over the course of, including the Texas Tech and Oklahoma games, Tech, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and TCU, all 4 being stacked together, the easiest part of your remaining schedule, I would have been shocked had Baylor not pulled themselves within a game of the Big 12 title race. But now it feels a little more real that, hey, you win a couple road games, you win a few games you probably won't be favored in, and legitimately it is to a point where despite Texas having a 1-game lead, it's anybody's title.
It is. And, I don't think that we're 100% sure on the health of Mike Miles Jr. and Eddie Lampkin going into Saturday. I'm not sure if they've completely been ruled out yet, but if they haven't, that's not a super easy gimme game. They just beat us at home. It's a rivalry, tough place to play. But if they're not healthy, you have to think Baylor goes in there.
No, it's not a tough place to play. Don't give them that credit, Brandon. It's the worst place to play. They don't pack it out. It's like the Farrell Center.
That's true. But the court is just horrendous. I'm assuming that distracts the players. And then, you have West Virginia at home next Monday. I feel like if we go 2-0 the next 2 games, we have a legitimate chance to be tied for the Big 12 championship conference lead, which is not a super hot take at all because we're 1 game back, just assuming Texas drops a game. But it's right there. And then I think really like if the team peaks and hits its stride, anything can happen end of February into March. So we have, really in my mind, like 1 or 2 more tough road games with Kansas and Oklahoma State. Kansas State. Oh, well, it's a tough schedule down the stretch, but also have Texas at home and Iowa State at home to close it out. So we'll see.
So do you want the good news, the bad news?
Is the bad news that your previous podcast guest predicted Iowa State win the Big 12 and they got waxed at West Virginia?
Yeah, that's the bad news for Pete Sousa.
Yeah.
The bad news for us here on this podcast, let me see if I can do this, is looking at Texas' schedule over the course of the next few days. So the Longhorns have not the toughest venture here pretty soon. It's not going to let me do it. Their next couple include West Virginia at home. That's a win on Saturday.
Yeah.
Texas Tech on the road. Oh, man, I'd love for them to lose that game on Monday. It'd be
Probably
awesome.
a win. Probably a win.
Oklahoma in Austin. They're
Win.
likely 3-0. Then they get Iowa State at home. Iowa State sucks on the road. Texas is likely 4-0 in their next 4 games.
Yeah.
Baylor, on the other hand, their next 4 at TCU against West Virginia. Then you go on the road to face Kansas and Kansas State.
Yeah, it's tough.
You're probably going to lose both of those games. Probably going to lose both of those games. But here's your saving grace.
Is it crazy to think that we have a better chance to beat Kansas in Fog Allen than Kansas State? Just matchup wise, I think we can.
Yeah, it's not. It's a little crazy. I think we have a better shot at Kansas.
Depends on what the Zebras do, but yeah.
Yes, that is also very true. The Kansas game, that Baylor Kansas game, is on TCU's on the 11th, which is a Saturday. It's Saturday, 3 p.m. game. Ooh.
Yeah, we could be in trouble.
Pretty interesting. So the Texas schedule though, saving grace here. This is a little sporadic, but I'm trying to give you how Baylor can win the Big 12 title.
Yes.
Texas is at home against Iowa State. I've given them 4-0. I've given them the next 4 games. Then they go to Waco. Give me a Baylor win there. They go to Fort Worth.
No pressure on the Bears, but that Texas game at Baylor in Waco, February 25th, is the first Baylor basketball game my dad will have gone to. He's flying in from Connecticut.
Ever. Okay.
So that's a win.
Baylor wins. Brandon, before you get too like, oh, yeah, well, they won, but they're still not going to win the Big 12. Contraire. Then Texas goes to TCU. If TCU is healthy by March 1st, that's a TCU win.
Yep.
Then Texas plays at home against Kansas. That could very well be a Kansas win. And if Kansas wins that game, if Texas goes 4-3 in their next 7, and your fighting Baylor Bears can knock off TCU on Saturday, which I think is really plausible, can beat West Virginia at home, it's got to happen. And then Kansas on the road, Kansas State on the road, tough games, Texas at home, at Oklahoma State, and Iowa State. In those 5 games, if your Bears can find a way to go 4-1, the league is theirs. The path is there, Brandon.
And
this
I think that's a 2 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, you know what sucks is the winner of the Big 12 is probably going to be a 2 seed. Isn't that stupid?
It's dumb, but like when we potted 3 weeks ago, we were talking about if Baylor had a case for a 4 seed. You know, I mean, it's like the season has changed, but I agree with you. I think the path is there to win. I think I was supposed to play bad cop, but now you've convinced me. I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I think if we just split those 2 games in the state of Kansas, I think it's right there for us.
Well, look, if you can even go 5-2, I'm confident that Texas goes 4-3 down the stretch. If you can go 5-2 here for Baylor, if you can win 5 of the next 7, you can win the league. It's right there for you.
It makes that Saturday game in Waco very interesting.
Massive. Texas should come off a 4-game winning streak. Look, West Virginia and Austin. It's got to be a win. Texas Tech at United Air Market Grocery Store Stadium. Hopefully Tech gets a win. They'll be fired up for that. A Monday 8 p.m. game. Tough atmosphere. Texas still probably wins. Oklahoma going to Austin, blow them out. Iowa State going to Austin, they'll blow them out. But those last 3 games, they might go 0-3. Brandon, if they go 0-3, the door is there. The door is there. Does this team deserve a Big 12 championship right now? No, Brandon, they don't.
They don't.
But I am still giving it to them. It's there. It's possible.
It's possible. And I mean, it's crazy that it's possible because when we started conference 0-3.
0-3. That was bad, wasn't it?
There was zero talk between any just within their right mind Baylor fan of a conference championship.
Yeah.
It was the sky's falling. Are we going to make the tournament? It was ridiculous. And now it's right there. So, I mean, that's the great part about college basketball. And I'm excited to watch.
Yeah. Now you're tied with every other team. So, but Texas has a 1-game lead on everybody, but the rest of these league standings have pretty much everybody bunched up. Kansas State 7-4, Kansas, Baylor, Iowa State, all at 7-4, TCU 6-5, Oklahoma State 6-5. It's awesome. It's parity at its finest. 7 teams that are all in the running for a Big 12 championship, and a legit 7 teams. So it's going to be 5. Now it's 7.
Yeah.
And West Virginia is going to the tournament. They'll go dancing. Oklahoma at 2-9. They have the Alabama win. They need some help. Texas Tech still 12-12. If each of those teams can find a way to at least pick up 5-6 conference wins, they'll make a case.
Which we're cool with them doing that because neither of those teams play us anymore.
Right.
Go win out. I hope OU
please.
wins out. I hope Texas Tech wins out.
And everybody else has enough wins at this point to an extent to make it to the NCAA tournament. So let's get 10 in.
Let's do it. I do just want to talk about one more thing from last night's game.
Yeah, that's fine.
That is critical for Baylor winning the Big 12. Do you know where I'm going with this?
It would be 69 missed free throws this season.
They're up to 71, unfortunately,
yes.
but no. It's the all suspicious LJ Cryer leg irritation injury officially reported from Baylor Athletics that kept him out of the second half.
Oh.
Drake, you are a senior in college at a prestigious university. Can you please, for me, define leg irritation?
It's the thing that I feel when my dog sleeps on my right leg and I wake up and it's asleep.
So why did Cryer not play in the second half? I'm worried about the feet, man. Worried about the feet.
He was sitting in halftime in the locker room. He was crisscross applesauce. His right leg fell asleep. Couldn't get it to wake up.
I hope you're right. But if LJ is out for any extended time, we saw Langston thankfully stepped up. Dale looked serviceable and looked good. But that is a major blow offensively if this defense is not going to be able to make big stops. We need the point production.
Yeah, you do.
I'm worried. See, this pot, when we pot, it's always all over the place. But I'm back to being bad cop. I'm worried, man.
I like it.
I'm worried.
Yeah, Dale played 7 minutes and didn't take one shot. But he had a foul. That was the only stat he logged.
He looked good defensively.
Yeah, only got that foul, which is good.
Yeah.
Does lead the team in steals, and it's been filtered out of the rotation. So
yeah, does he still lead us in steals?
Yeah, average.
Yeah,
average steals.
Got it.
What if I told you Sick 'em Bears?
I'm in for Sick 'em Bears. I saw you had the little Beat TCU pin. This is why you need to subscribe and watch every episode on YouTube to see all of Drake's merch. Yeah, we got to do it, man.
It always will be. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk about Robbie Triano joins the show tomorrow. I completely forgot he's coming on the show tomorrow. Robbie Triano joins the show tomorrow. We'll talk about Big 12 basketball. Baylor plays this weekend against somebody. I'll figure it out who. TCU. This has been Brandon. It always will be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Pete, Susie, you included. Pete, thanks for listening. Locked on. Say it, man.
Baylor.